The cold evening wind moved through the old graveyard like a sad whisper. Dark clouds covered the moon, and only a few dim lights from the street touched the ground. In the middle of the graveyard stood a young black woman named Janelle, holding her 3 small babies close to her chest. They were crying softly, their tiny voices breaking the silence around her. Janelle's eyes were red. She had been standing beside the grave for hours, talking in a low voice, almost like she was speaking to someone she loved but could no longer see. Her hands were shaking from the cold, but she did not move away. This grave meant everything to her. Suddenly, the sound of a car engine cut through the quiet night. A long black luxury car slowly entered the graveyard road. Its headlights flashed across the trees and gravestones until they stopped on Janelle. She turned her head sharply, fear rising inside her. No one came to this graveyard at this hour. No one should be here. The car door opened. A tall, strong man stepped out. His suit looked expensive, his shoes clean, his face sharp and serious. Everyone in the city knew who he was, Damian Cole, the cold and famous millionaire. A man who never smiled. A man who never showed weakness. A man whose name alone made people step aside. But tonight, his eyes were filled with something different: confusion, anger, and shock. He looked at Janelle, then at the 3 babies, and then at the grave she was standing beside. His father's grave. Damian walked closer, each step heavy, slow, and full of questions he didn't understand. Janelle held her babies tighter, her breath shaking. And then, Damian spoke with a deep, angry voice that echoed through the empty graveyard. "What are you doing at my father's grave?" Janelle froze. Her lips parted, but no words came out. She looked like a deer caught in headlights, scared of him, scared of the moment, scared of what would happen next. Damian stepped in front of the grave, blocking her view. His voice grew sharper. "You answer me right now," he said. "Why are you here? What do you want? And who are these children?" The triplets started crying louder, sensing the fear in the air. Janelle looked down at them, whispering soft words to calm them, but her hands would not stop trembling. She lifted her head slowly and met Damian's eyes. For a second, his heart skipped. There was pain in her eyes, deep pain. Pain he recognized. Pain he once had, but he pushed that thought away. "I didn't come to disturb anything," she said softly. "I came because your father saved my life." Damian took a step back, shocked. "What?" he asked. Janelle swallowed hard, fighting her tears. "I owe him everything. Everything I have left." Damian looked at her clothes, her tired face, the babies who looked barely a few months old. Nothing made sense. His father was a private man, a strict man, a man who never involved himself with strangers. But this woman, she knew something. He narrowed his eyes. "You're lying," he said coldly. "My father never mentioned you. Not once." A tear rolled down Janelle's cheek. "I know," she whispered. "He told me not to tell you." Another wave of shock hit Damian. He took a deep breath, trying to control his anger. Something felt wrong. Something felt hidden. And he hated secrets more than anything. "Then you're coming with me," he said firmly. "I don't care who you are. I don't care what story you have. But you will explain everything. Tonight." Janelle shook her head nervously. "Please, I don't want trouble." "It's too late," Damian replied. "You're standing on my father's grave with 3 babies. I want answers." One of the triplets reached out a tiny hand toward Damian and smiled. Damian froze. He didn't understand why. But something inside him felt strange, deep, and familiar. And for the first time in years, his heart felt heavy. The night around them grew colder. The trees stopped moving. The grave seemed to watch them both. A secret had just opened, and the story was only beginning. The night air felt even colder as Damian led Janelle and the crying triplets to his sleek, black car. She hesitated, clutching her babies tightly. Every instinct screamed at her to run, but Damian's presence was impossible to ignore. His tall frame and sharp gaze made her feel cornered, yet strangely not entirely unsafe. "Get in," Damian said, his voice low but firm. "We're leaving, now." Janelle's lips pressed into a thin line. She glanced at the grave one last time, the moonlight reflecting off the letters carved into the stone. Her father. No, his father. The man buried here had been more than just a stranger to her. He had saved her life when no one else cared, and now his son demanded answers she wasn't sure she was ready to give. Reluctantly, she slid into the back seat, placing the triplets on her lap. Damian moved to the driver's side, his eyes briefly scanning the rearview mirror. His expression was unreadable, but his silence spoke volumes. The car hummed quietly as it rolled down the empty streets. The triplets fussed, but Janelle whispered soft, calming words. Damian stole a glance at them. Tiny fingers curled around her jacket, tiny feet kicked, and tiny eyes peeked up at him. For a moment, he felt something he hadn't felt in years, a flicker of curiosity. "Why are you here?" Damian finally asked. The words were sharp, demanding, but there was a thread of confusion under them. "Why my father? Why now?" Janelle's hands shook as she adjusted the babies. I was homeless," she began. "I had nowhere to go. I was pregnant. And then your father found me. He helped me. He saved me from a man who wanted to hurt me. And he promised he would watch over my children." Damian's grip on the steering wheel tightened. His father? Helping someone like her. He had known his father was kind, but he had never imagined him getting involved with strangers, especially a young woman with triplets. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" he snapped. "Why hide it?" "I was afraid," Janelle admitted, her voice trembling. "He told me, if you ever knew, things could go wrong," he said. "He said I should only come if I truly had no choice." The silence that followed was thick and suffocating. Damian's mind raced. Secrets. Lies. A father who kept pieces of his life hidden even from his own son. And now here was this woman, standing in his path, carrying pieces of a story he had never imagined. Suddenly, one of the triplets reached out toward Damian and giggled. The sound was small but clear, cutting through the tension like a bell in the night. Damian's eyes softened, though he wouldn't admit it. He glanced at Janelle. Something in her eyes, a sadness, a strength, made him pause. "You're coming to the mansion with me," he said finally. "We'll talk there, everything." Janelle swallowed hard, her throat dry. "I don't want to trouble anyone. You have no choice," Damian interrupted. "If I'm going to understand my father, I need to understand this. You, the babies, everything. And you will tell me the truth." As the city lights faded behind them, the mansion loomed in the distance, dark and massive, like a fortress hiding secrets. Damian parked in front, and the front doors opened with a soft creak. Inside, the air smelled of old wood and money, a sharp contrast to the cold, empty streets outside. Damian led her through the halls, each step echoing like a warning. Paintings of his family stared down at them. Old photographs lined the walls, showing Damian as a boy with his father, smiling, unaware of the secrets waiting to surface. Janelle glanced at one of the photos and froze. I've seen this room before," she whispered. Damian stopped. "What do you mean?" She shook her head. "Your father. He brought me here once. Told me never to tell you. I didn't understand why. Not until tonight." Damian's eyes narrowed. A chill ran down his spine. His father had planned this? Was this woman a key to something he never knew? A storm was quietly brewing in the mansion. Secrets were about to collide, and Damian could feel it. Tonight, nothing would be the same again. The mansion was silent except for the soft footsteps of Damian and Janelle. The babies had fallen asleep in her arms, their tiny chests rising and falling, making the air in the grand hall feel heavy and still. Damian's eyes scanned the walls as he led her through the dark corridors. Paintings of his father and ancestors stared down, their eyes seeming to follow them, guarding secrets long buried. "Wait," Janelle said suddenly, stopping in front of a closed door. Her fingers trembled as she reached for the doorknob. I know this room." Damian turned sharply. "What do you mean?" She swallowed, her voice barely above a whisper. "Your father. He brought me here once. Told me never to tell you. I didn't understand why then. Not until tonight." Damian frowned. Something about the way she spoke, the certainty in her voice, made him uneasy. "Show me," he said slowly, suspicion in every word. She opened the door. The room was small, almost hidden, with old furniture covered in dust. But what caught Damian's eye were the shelves lined with photographs, papers, and letters. Some were yellowed with age. Some looked freshly written. The air smelled faintly of old books and secrets. Janelle stepped inside, her eyes wide. "I've never been in this room at night," she admitted. "Your father brought me here once, when he said I had to learn to protect something. Something very important." Damian's brow furrowed. "Protect what?" Janelle hesitated. Her hands shook as she reached for one of the letters. "I don't know if you're ready for this," she whispered. He said some truths could hurt you. Maybe forever." Damian's jaw tightened. "Try me." She handed him a folded letter, its edges worn. He took it cautiously, noticing his father's familiar handwriting. The room seemed to close in around them. Damian opened the letter. His eyes skimmed the words, and with each line, his expression changed. Confusion, shock, then pale disbelief. Janelle watched him silently. "Your father. He trusted me to bring this to you," she said softly. "He said one day you would need to know the truth about your family, about what he did to protect you, and about why I'm here." Damian's hands trembled slightly as he read. This can't be real," he muttered. Why didn't he tell me?" Janelle stepped closer, her voice calm but steady. "Because he wanted you to be ready. And because he knew. Some truths are heavy. He told me to make sure the babies were safe, and that you would understand someday." Damian looked at the triplets, sleeping quietly in her arms. Something about them, their tiny faces, their quiet presence, felt connected to the letter. He swallowed hard. His father's words hinted that these children were more than just strangers. They were part of a plan, a promise kept long before he was even born. "Your father. He wanted me to protect them," Janelle said, almost apologetically. "He said I should never let anything happen to them, no matter what." Damian's heart pounded. He had never imagined his father being this involved in someone else's life, especially someone like Janelle. But as he looked into her eyes, he realized this was true. His father had made a promise, and somehow, the triplets were the key to it. Then Damian noticed something else, a small object peeking from Janelle's coat pocket. He reached out carefully and pulled it. A delicate gold necklace, tiny and intricate, with a symbol he recognized immediately. His father had worn one just like it. "This," Damian whispered. "Where did you get this?" Janelle's voice shook. "Your father gave it to me. For them, for their safety. He said when the time comes, you would understand." Damian's chest tightened. He stared at the necklace, then at Janelle, then at the sleeping triplets. The mansion seemed to grow colder, the shadows darker, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. Suddenly, a faint noise echoed from the hall, a car engine idling outside. Damian's instincts sharpened. "Someone's here," he said, his voice low but tense. "They're watching. Maybe following." Janelle's eyes widened. "They found me again," she whispered. Damian's hands clenched into fists. Whatever secrets the letter held, whatever danger was coming, he knew one thing. He would protect them. His father's promise would not die tonight, and so, the mansion, with its hidden rooms, old photos, and buried secrets, became the first battlefield in a story that was just beginning, and the night outside was far from safe. The mansion was quiet, but the air felt thick with secrets. Damian sat in a high-backed chair, the letter trembling slightly in his hands. The triplets slept peacefully in Janelle's arms, unaware of the storm of words about to unfold. Shadows from the flickering chandelier danced across the walls, making the portraits of his ancestors look almost alive. Janelle stood nearby, her eyes fixed on him, waiting for the inevitable reaction. "You need to read it," she whispered. "Your father wanted you to know everything." Damian's lips pressed into a thin line. He had always known his father was a private man, full of rules and mystery, but this felt different. The letter spoke of promises made, of debts repaid, of lives intertwined in ways he had never imagined. He cleared his throat and read aloud, "Damian, if you are reading this, it means I am gone. There are truths you must face, truths I kept from you to protect you, and to protect others. There is a woman, Janelle, and her children. They carry a part of our family's story, a promise I made long ago. You must protect them. Trust her. The triplets are not ordinary, they are the 3 stars, my last gift to the world. Everything depends on them. One day you will understand why this matters." Damian's hands shook. He reread the last line. "The triplets are the 3 stars. My last gift." His mind raced. 3 stars? What did that mean? He looked at the babies, sleeping so peacefully, and felt a strange pull in his chest. A connection he couldn't explain. 3 stars? He muttered, almost to himself. What does that even mean? Janelle stepped closer, her voice soft but steady. "It means they are important. Your father said they carry something special in their blood. Something only our family can understand." Damian's heart thudded. Every instinct screamed that there was more danger, more secrets, more responsibility. "Why didn't he tell me directly?" he asked, frustration and confusion mixing in his voice. "Because he wanted you ready," Janelle said. "He knew the truth could destroy you if you weren't. He trusted me to bring you here when the time was right. That time is now." The room was silent for a moment. Damian glanced at the sleeping babies, their tiny fingers curling into fists. He felt a strange sense of duty and fear all at once. His father had trusted this woman, and now he had to trust her too. Suddenly, a soft sound came from outside the mansion, a car engine, distant but deliberate. Damian stiffened. He walked to the window and peered through the dark. A black SUV was parked at the end of the driveway, its headlights off. Someone was watching. Janelle's eyes widened. "They found me." "Again," she whispered. Panic trembled in her voice. "The same people who wanted my children before they're back. And this time, they won't stop easily." Damian's mind went into overdrive. He looked back at the letter, then at Janelle, and finally at the sleeping triplets. Every word his father had written now made sense. Protection, secrecy, trust. His father had prepared him for this moment. He clenched his fists. "I won't let anyone hurt them," he said, his voice low and firm. "Your father's promise. It's mine now. No one touches them. Do you understand me?" Janelle nodded, relief mixed with fear in her eyes. "I understand," she said softly. "But they're coming, soon, and they're dangerous." Damian turned back to the letter. He realized this wasn't just a story about secrets or family. It was a plan, his father's final plan, to ensure the survival of something precious, something bigger than both of them. And now, the responsibility rested on him. The mansion felt colder. the shadows longer, as if the walls themselves were warning them. Outside, the black SUV stayed motionless, a silent threat lurking in the night. Damian folded the letter carefully and looked at Janelle. "We stay together. No one leaves. And I find out exactly who is after you and why." Janelle held the triplets closer, whispering to them softly, while Damian's eyes hardened. The night had become a battlefield, and the letter had just changed everything. The truth was out. The real danger had only begun, and the 3 stars, the triplets, would lead them through a storm they were not ready for. The mansion felt like a fortress, but Damian knew walls and doors would not keep them safe forever. He paced slowly across the polished floors, glancing at the sleeping triplets in Janelle's arms. Their soft breathing calmed him, yet he couldn't shake the sense of danger creeping closer. Janelle sat on the couch, her back straight, her hands resting protectively over the babies. Her eyes, wide and wary, stared at the dark windows. "They're coming," she whispered, almost to herself. Damian stopped, frowning. "Who?" Her lips trembled as she told him the truth. "The man. The one I escaped from. He wants the children. He said they belong to him. He's ruthless. And he's not alone." Damian's jaw tightened. Every instinct he had screamed danger. "He won't get them," he said firmly. "I promise. No one will touch them." Janelle looked at him, uncertainty in her eyes. "You don't understand. He's dangerous. More dangerous than anyone you've ever faced. And he has people who follow his orders without question." Damian's mind raced. His father's letter had warned him about protection, about danger. But this was real, immediate, personal, and it involved innocent children. Suddenly, the front door creaked. Both of them froze. Damian moved first, silently, checking the hall. The mansion was dark, but he could see faint shadows through the windows. He grabbed a heavy lamp from the table and held it like a weapon. A knock came at the door, soft, deliberate. Janelle's hand flew to the triplets, holding them tightly. "It's him," she whispered. Panic filled her voice. "He's here." Damian's eyes narrowed. He stepped toward the door. "Stay behind me," he ordered. "No one comes in without my say-so." The knock came again, this time louder. A voice, cold and mocking, echoed through the hallway. "Janelle, I know you're in there. Give me the children. You have nowhere to run." Janelle's body trembled. Memories of past fear flooded back, the nights she had run, hiding in alleys, praying the man wouldn't find her. And now, after everything, he was here again. Damian slammed the door shut, locking it. He turned to Janelle, his expression hard. "We're not letting him take them. Not tonight. Not ever." Janelle nodded, tears streaming silently down her face. "He'll kill us if we try to stop him," she whispered. Damian clenched his fists. "Then he dies before he touches them." They prepared the mansion. Damian moved furniture to block doors. He checked windows. He made a plan in his head, one that would keep the baby safe at all costs. Janelle helped, shaking but determined. Together, they moved like warriors, preparing for the storm they knew was coming. Hours passed. Outside, the wind howled. The black SUV Damian had seen earlier circled the driveway. Shadows moved along the edges of the property, careful, patient. They were hunting, waiting for the perfect moment. Janelle sat with the triplets in the living room, rocking them gently. "Your father, he saved us before," she whispered softly. "I think he knew this moment would come. That's why he trusted you." Damian's eyes softened as he looked at the babies. For the first time, he felt a bond not just with the triplets, but with Janelle. Her courage, her strength, her love for these children, it demanded respect. And slowly he realized. He trusted her too. Suddenly, A loud crash echoed from the side of the mansion. Damian's heart raced. He ran toward the sound, finding a side window shattered, glass scattered across the floor. Footprints led toward the living room. Janelle gasped, clutching the babies. "They're inside," she whispered. Damian's eyes blazed with determination. "Not for long," he muttered. "I'm taking care of this." Outside, the black SUV remained parked, silent but menacing. Inside, the mansion became a battlefield. Shadows moved. Plans collided. Fear and courage tangled in a single dangerous dance. Damian knew one thing for sure: tonight, nothing would be the same. Protecting Janelle and the triplets meant facing enemies from the past. Enemies who would not stop until they had what they wanted, and Damian was ready to fight. The storm outside grew louder, rain pounding against the mansion's windows like warning drums. Inside, Damian moved quickly, holding a lamp in one hand and a metal rod in the other. The triplets slept in Janelle's arms, bundled in blankets. Unaware of the danger creeping closer with every heartbeat, the shattered side window still gleamed under the dim light. Shards of glass scattered across the floor. Damian's eyes scanned the hallway, alert to the faintest sound. He could feel that someone was inside. Someone dangerous. Then, a shadow darted past the doorway. Damian lunged forward, swinging the rod. A man stumbled, catching himself and smirking. He was tall, lean, with cold eyes that seemed to pierce through the darkness. Damian's stomach clenched. This was him, the man from Janelle's past. The one who had chased her before, the one who wanted the triplets. "Give me the children." The intruder shouted, his voice sharp and cruel. "I don't think so," Damian growled. He swung again, and the man ducked just in time. Shoving Damian backward, Janelle held the babies closer, rocking them instinctively. "Please, don't hurt them," she whispered, panic in her voice. Damian's hands tightened around the rod. "I won't let you touch them," he said, his voice cold. "Not one step closer." The man lunged, faster this time, but Damian was ready. They struggled, rolling across the floor, knocking over furniture. Glass shattered, pictures fell, and the triplets stirred, crying softly. Janelle soothed them as best she could, trying not to panic. Finally, Damian managed to shove the intruder against a wall. His hand went to the man's coat pocket and pulled out a small folder. He opened it carefully, and his heart skipped a beat. Inside were papers, medical documents, birth records, and a DNA test report. What is this?" Damian muttered. The intruder laughed, dark and twisted. "You think you know the truth? You have no idea who these babies belong to." Damian's eyes widened as he scanned the papers. The DNA results. The intruder's name was listed as a match to the triplets. Janelle gasped, clutching the babies tighter. "No, that can't be true," she whispered. Damian's mind raced. Could this be real? Was he about to lose the children he had just started to care for? He clenched his jaw. He refused to believe it without proof. "Sit down," Damian said firmly, his voice steady despite the storm inside him. "We're doing this the right way. No more lies." The intruder smirked but stayed quiet. Damian grabbed his laptop and ran a quick verification. Every record, every number, every sample. Something didn't add up. His father's notes from the letter, the promise to protect Janelle and the triplets. It all clicked. The test had been falsified. "They're yours," Damian said softly to Janelle, relief washing over him. "Your father's right. The triplets are part of your family. Part of our family." Janelle's eyes filled with tears, her shoulders sagging. "I didn't want to believe it. But I had to protect them," she whispered. Damian turned to the intruder, his face hard and unforgiving. "You won't touch them again," he said. "Not today. Not ever. Leave, now." The intruder glared, realizing he had lost. He stormed out, slipping into the night. leaving the mansion in silence. Rain continued to drum against the roof, but inside, a sense of calm finally settled. Damian knelt beside Janelle, taking one of the sleeping triplets gently in his arms. "Your father was right," he said softly. "They are the 3 stars. And I promise, I will protect them." Janelle rested her head against his shoulder, finally feeling the weight of danger lift, just enough to breathe. The mansion was still, the storm outside slowly fading, and a new bond had formed. For the first time, Damian truly understood the depth of his father's promise. And he knew. The fight wasn't over. But together, they could face whatever came next. The triplets stirred in their sleep, small hands reaching out, innocent and unaware. And for Damian, that was enough. The storm had passed, leaving the mansion drenched in silver moonlight. Water dripped from the eaves, echoing softly in the silent halls. Damian stood by the window, holding one of the triplets gently in his arms. The other 2 slept in Janelle's embrace, their soft breaths steady and calm. For hours, Damian had sat with the DNA report spread before him, rereading it, unable to believe what he saw. The falsified papers the intruder had left behind had nearly tricked him, but the real results had been verified. And now the truth was undeniable. The triplets. They weren't the attackers, but even more shocking, they shared DNA markers connected to Damian's father. Damian's mind raced. The pieces fell into place. The letter, the necklace, the hidden rooms, the secret promises. His father hadn't just saved Janelle and the babies. He had protected something much bigger. Something meant to continue the family's legacy. A gift meant for the world, carried in the form of these 3 tiny lives. Janelle looked up at him, her eyes filled with fear and hope. What does this mean?" she asked softly. Damian knelt beside her, taking both of her hands in his. "It means your father was right. They're safe. They've always been safe, because your father made sure I would protect them. And I will." Tears streamed down Janelle's cheeks, a mix of relief and gratitude. She looked at the sleeping triplets, their small hands clutching blankets and fingers curled into fists. "I never wanted anyone to hurt them," she whispered. I just wanted them to live." Damian's voice was steady, but deep with emotion. "And they will. You've done everything right. Your father, he knew I could help, and he trusted me. That trust, I won't betray it." For the first time, the mansion felt warm. The shadows on the walls seemed softer, the silence no longer threatening. Damian and Janelle sat together, the weight of the past lifting slightly, replaced by hope. Outside, the moon reflected off the gravestones. Damian felt an urge he couldn't ignore. He walked to the car and drove slowly back to the cemetery where the journey had begun. Janelle followed, the babies safe in blankets, the quiet night welcoming them. Standing in front of his father's grave, Damian lowered his eyes. He touched the stone gently, the cold surface grounding him. "You were right," he whispered. "I understand now. I will protect them. I will protect her. Just like you wanted." Janelle stood beside him, her voice soft. "Thank you. For believing in us. For protecting us." The triplets stirred, tiny voices breaking the silence. One reached out toward Damian, as if sensing the bond forming between them. He smiled, a genuine smile he hadn't felt in years. For the first time, he felt a connection not just to his father, but to the future. These children, these 3 stars, were more than a secret. They were hope, a continuation of promises, and a reminder that even in the darkest nights, someone watches over us. Damian turned to Janelle, his hand brushing hers gently. "We're in this together now," he said. "No one will hurt you. No one will touch them, ever." Janelle nodded, tears shining in her eyes. "Together," she whispered. The night air was calm, the wind carrying the scent of rain and earth. The mansion behind them, The grave in front and the 3 tiny stars between them, they were safe for now. But more than that, they were family. Damian held the babies close, feeling their warmth, their innocence. He looked at Janelle, and for the first time, he felt hope, trust, and something deeper, a promise fulfilled. His father's legacy wasn't just wealth or power. It was love, protection, and the courage to face danger for the ones who mattered most. And now, Damian understood. The triplets giggled softly, reaching up with tiny hands. Damian smiled down at them, his heart full. The storm had passed. The enemies had been defeated. And the future? Bright, uncertain, but theirs was just beginning. The 3 stars shone quietly in the night, their secret power alive and safe. And for Damian and Janelle, the real journey of love, trust, and protection was only beginning.